Hello everyone, hope you're extremely well. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. Today we'll be looking at a company that is trading at 1 cent a share. So we'll be looking at what they do, what they are changing in their business. Is this a possible turnaround growth story? Our opinion, and then also the pros and cons about the business, so the risks involved. And it's good to understand all of these aspects to get a better grip of the business. And this is just our opinion, not financial advice, especially when it comes to a company like this, as they have to do with cannabis. And personally, I am not an expert in that. I'm clueless in that. So take everything with a pinch of salt. But over the last few weeks, we've been doing some research on them and just following the progress and what they do. So the company is called Nutritional Holdings. It is trading at 1 cent. Before we get into it, my name is Hugo van Malone. I'm the founder of FundMeUp. FundMeUp is a financial education platform, but not just education. We are here to take our users from education all the way to execution, whether that is starting your own business and scaling it, to investing, to loans, whatever. That is what we do. We have the FinMeUp app. We are working on various other innovative products as well to help our users and create as much value as possible. So you can check that out and just follow us, subscribe to us, stay tuned, follow us on social media, and join the community. So let's have a look at Nutritional Holdings. First of all, let's have a look at what they do. So it is an interesting business as they are pivoting a lot, but they describe themselves as Nutritional Holdings operates in a competitive industry with an established manufacturing base and as a distribution network in Southern Africa. So in other words, they are engaged in manufacturing, marketing and distribution of stable dry foods, cannabis infusions and oils, and then extracts and also related edibles. So the reason why Nutritional Holdings have been grabbing media attention and, just people are starting to talk about it. First of all, it's a company that is trading at 1 cent a share. You don't usually find that, but it's also important to have a look at the valuation. It might be 1 cent a share, but if you look at Nutritional Holdings, guess what their market cap is, so their valuation? It is 167 million. So it's not as cheap as it sounds, but it is still very small. It is still a small cap, still very small. And if they manage to grow a good business, you can get some really good returns. But there are many risks involved as well, especially liquidity for the short term and a few other, but we'll get into that just now. So just a bit more into what they do as well. They have a business called Nutritional Foods, which is not my personal favorite. I think it'd be best if they get rid of this business and rather invest that capital into what is working, which is the cannabis side. But I am under no circumstance a cannabis expert, so take everything with a pinch of salt. This is not financial advice. This is just our opinion and research and reasoning. So, they are supplying foods, and this is from their nutritional food side, to industries like the hospital and clinics, school hostels, mining houses, correctional services, which is also like prisons, lodges and guest houses. So, they've got a nice distribution with their nutritional foods, but I'm not a big fan of this business. What catches my attention is the cannabis business. And before we get into that, let's have a look at their financials. And this is a big representation of the cannabis side of things in their business. So let's have a look at their financial highlights from their 6-month period that ended 31 August 2020. So the group turnover improved by 102% to 33.7 million rand compared to 16 million rand in the previous period. The operating profit before interest and tax improved by 537% to 16.4 million rand compared to a loss of 3.7 million. So from a loss to a profit. This is the operating profit, and it grew by 537%. Then the net profit also improved by 325% to 10.6 million, also compared to a loss in the previous period. The headline earnings per share also increased. So this could definitely be seen as a possible amazing turnaround story, as they've been struggling over the years. They've really been struggling. They've had their issues. But with these results, if they can keep this up, it's looking very promising. So as we speak about that, let's get into the pros and the cons of this business. So let's have a look at the pros first and then the cons. And like I said, it's very good to understand these fundamentals because, I mean, if you're in control of the fundamentals and understand what you're investing in, you're in control of your emotions. So they have two major cannabis deals in the markets where there is an active demand and customers are willing to spend. Okay, that's a positive. Another positive is that they are busy offloading unprofitable subsidiaries and refocusing on businesses that actually make money. That is great. That is probably why we've seen this, this improvement in their different aspects. Then another positive is that the medical cannabis industry is still in its early days, and there's a big total addressable market locally and globally. So that is a positive, but there's also a negative connected to that, which we'll get into now. Then Nutritional Holdings also recently became profitable due to the cannabis side of their business. So they're investing heavily in this, and it's showing signs of a lot of potential. They also proposed a share buyback, and that has been approved. And this is a step in the right direction to create shareholder value, because it just creates that extra incentive for confidence for shareholders or potential shareholders. It's always good, a positive sign or a confidence booster if the management is buying back shares and backing the share of the company. So that's good. Then another and the last pro that that's there is that the new board of directors and the CFO are focused on transforming the business. So we'll have to keep a close eye on the business and how they execute their plans and the new strategy and all of that. It's definitely not a company yet that we are just buying and holding and just closing our eye. There's a lot of aspects that has to be looked at regularly for this not young company, this turnaround story. So let's have a look at the cons, which is also known as the risks. So first of all, and this is a big one, they have a lot of debt. They have a lot of debt, and debt for a small company could really be a destroyer, because I mean the interest payments are there. You have to pay back the money. You work so hard just to pay back the money you're owing your debt provider. So they have a lot of debt. That's a risk. Another risk is that the success of the business is currently very dependent on the success of the two cannabis deals. Also, they could get swallowed up by international competition. They are still small, and their balance sheet could definitely not compete against some of their the massive industry players globally. And the thing is, there is a barrier to entry when it comes to regulation, but I mean, how difficult is it really to start and scale, especially if you're already an established business, to scale in the cannabis industry? If you look at the US, there's a massive, it's a trending theme. The cannabis is the next big industry, and the share prices of those companies have been performing really well. Some of them are billions of dollars worth currently. There's many of them listed in the US. So there's definitely a threat of competition, especially international competition, not necessarily in South Africa, but that is something to consider. Then also the buyback is also, it could be seen otherwise, as the business is small and they should rather be focused on expansion, but instead they are allocating their capital towards buying back shares, which adds not too much value to the operations of the business. So there's a pro and a con in that. So you should ask yourself, would you want them rather to invest their cash in expanding the operations or buying back shares, which is just, a little confidence booster in the share price or in the company? But those are some aspects to consider. Then also, they recently put out a SENS announcement where they just confirmed that they now have a German supplier. It says here in the SENS announcement that Yukusekela Holdings, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, has secured a 1 billion rand supply agreement with Germany. And then also Nutritional Holdings and Yukusekela are pleased to inform shareholders that the first international delivery of 72,000 units, comprising of 50,000 units for the first blah, 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 blah. Basically, already 32 million rand secured for an immune booster product. So, things are happening. Things are busy happening. So let's have a look at our opinion overall. So we like what we are seeing in this turnaround story, in the strategic side of things. but also in their financials. Their financials looked very good in the previous reporting that we just covered. It's looking very good. It's looking like a turnaround story, but it should be kept very closely because the next reporting period will also show a lot, and so will the one after that, because a turnaround story is not just 1 quarter or 1 year of good returns. It should be recurring. They had a tough few years, so now it's all about how can they sustain this and how can they grow this. It is 1 cent, it's 1 cent a share. So if they manage to pull something of great locally and globally, this could really give a long-term investor a lot of returns. But like I said, there are also many risks involved: the debt, the low liquidity. It's still a small company, the international players. So let us know what you think of Nutritional Holdings. It's 1 cent a share. Do you see how this company, you remember, it's 1 cent a share. For it to go to 10 cents, that means the valuation should also times 10, which makes it a more than R1 billion company. So can you see how that's going to happen? If you know a bit more about the cannabis industry, feel free to share your thoughts. The more inputs we get, the better. It's a company we'll definitely continue to do research on and see how things unfold. So subscribe if you found value in this, and check out the stock picks on the FinMeUp app. We post weekly companies that we are buying, holding, and selling with our reasoning and research. So that's all there along with the other features. But overall, we are still more on the sidelines. It is just to see how the next results look, and then we'll send an update of what we are doing and when we're actually really climbing in. It is something that is interesting us, that has found an interest in us. And, if we, personally, I would rather spend 2,000 Rand on Nutritional Holdings and go to the casino and put 2,000 Rand on red with roulette. So I think it's probably a better gamble than going to the casino. But that's a problem. It's still a little bit of a gamble, but there are very positive signs. There are also still risks. So that is our take. Let us know what you think. Have a great day. Cheers.